Hello, everyone, and thank you for attending the Family Connections Workshop, Autism, Resources and Supports for Advocacy. This is the final part of our three-part series highlighting community resources available for families living with exceptional family members. My name is Tina Garfield. I am a family outreach representative with the Office of Family and Community Engagement with Virginia Beach City Public Schools. I will be your facilitator tonight. The focus of today's Family Connections is identifying the resources available through the Autism Society Tidewater, Virginia. Let's welcome Brittany Fitzgerald. Brittany, tell us a bit about your role and what the Autism Society does.
Hi, thank you all for having me today. I am the programs coordinator with the Autism Society at Tidewater, and we offer a number of different resources for everybody. Um, our mission is the Autism Society of Tidewater, Virginia's mission for the past 42 years has been to create connections, empowering everybody in the autism community with the resources needed to live fully. As an affiliate of the nation's oldest leading grassroots autism organization, the Autism Society of America, we serve thousands of members of the local autism community each year. Our vision of a world where everyone in the autism community is connected to the support that they need when they need it, including education, advocacy, efforts, and supports and services throughout the lifespan. The connection is you. So these are a number of our different programs that we offer. We do community trainings such as Autism 101, Autism 201. We do some law enforcement and EMS trainings. We have parent web chats, parents of adults on Tuesdays, twice a month, normally the first and third Tuesday, and parents of children on Thursdays, the first and third Thursday of the month. We also have a couple in-person activities for teens and adults. We have an art program, and then we have a virtual support group for individuals 18 and over that happens at least once a month. We have a parents' night out, which that is where the parents can gather at a restaurant without any individuals and chat and learn things and just share your experience. We also do a lot of resource fairs in conferences, both in person and virtual. We participate in family fun days. We have 2 5K. Our next one is April 12th. The superhero versus villains 5K. We do holiday parties, sensory friendly events, etc. So these are the objectives for what we're going to go over today. Introductory understanding of autism spectrum disorder, recognizing the characteristics and behaviors associated with ASD, strategies for support and inclusion of people with ASD. All right, so now I'm gonna get the definition of autism spectrum disorder. So you have to have a number of different things. Persistent deficits in social communication and interaction, restrictive repetitive patterns of behavior, interests, or activities. Symptoms can cause clinically significant impairment in social, occupational, or other important areas of current functioning. Neurodevelopmental disorders, including autism spectrum disorder, can co-occur with other developmental disabilities, including intellectual disability, mental and behavioral problems. So a few early signs of autism spectrum disorder: no babbling by 12 months of age, no pointing or gesturing by that same age, no single words by 16 months, no two-word phrases by 24, loss of previously acquired skills, especially language, lack of joint attention, the child does not draw others' attention to the objects in the environment, lack of pretend, imitative, and functional play appropriate to the developmental age. The child does not imitate others' behaviors. Child is rigid in routines and has very difficult transitions. Child engages in repetitive or stereotypical behavior. Child has unusual responses to sensory stimuli. So the prevalence rate has recently gone up. The last time it was updated, the prevalence rate increased to 1 in 36 children receiving an autism diagnosis. That means that while diagnostic screening and identification are improving in some ways, the prevalent rate is also increasing. Additionally, an identification report demonstrates that for the first time, the percentage of 8-year-old Asian or Pacific Islander, Hispanic, and Black children identified with autism was higher than amongst 8-year-old white children. And this was the last time the prevalence rate was updated. And we also have the female protective effect. So this is one of the most persistent puzzles, is why 4 times as many boys are diagnosed with the condition as girls. Diagnostic bias partly explains this ratio. The leading theory of autism, the female protective effect, also offers a powerful explanation. It suggests that girls and women are biologically shielded from autism. Autism manifests differently in girls than does boys, but the tools used to diagnose and screen for autism are based primarily on data from boys. They even do not account for the variation in autism characteristics across sexes. As a result, many autistic women and girls are diagnosed with the condition late or not at all. This underdiagnosis may lead to a skewed sex ratio. The main concern is that their diagnosis is being dismissed, ignored, or misdiagnosed. So I'm gonna go over support needs real quick. So we have 3 different levels. ASD level 1, they have difficulty in initiating social interactions. Organizing, planning problems can hamper independence. Level 2, requiring substantial support. Social interactions are limited to narrow special interests, frequent, restricted, and repetitive behaviors, and ASD level 3, requiring very substantial support, severe deficits in verbal and nonverbal social communication skills, great distress or difficulty when changing actions or focus. So this is just a little bit more in detail about the different levels. So for level 1, for social communication, with they could do without help. Some they'll have some deficits in social communication, but they can do it. Difficulty starting social interactions, so that initiation is very difficult. Can speak clearly with adults, but doesn't wish to speak to peers. And restrictive, repetitive behaviors. Inflexibility causes significant interference with functioning. So that's just liking your routine, sticking to your routine, and if that varies, that creates an issue and trouble for the individual. Difficulty changing activities, so that transition from one activity to another is difficult, and problems with organization. So for ASD level 2, it's marked by deficits in verbal and nonverbal, limited initiation of social interactions, example of narrow interest, Inflexibility, difficulty coping, restrictive or repetitive behaviors occur enough for others to notice. In ASD level 3, severe deficits in verbal and nonverbal social communication skills. An example would be a person with only a few words of intelligible speech, and they rarely initiate interaction. Restricted repetitive behaviors, inflexibility of behavior, difficulty coping, repetitive behaviors that interfere with function. And these are the main characteristics of autism. So persistent differences in communication, interpersonal relationships, and social interaction across different environments. So that can look like being nonverbal or having atypical speech patterns, having trouble understanding nonverbal communication. So that could be body language, difficulty keeping friends, and difficulty maintaining typical back and forth conversations. Restrictive and repetitive behavior patterns, activities, and interests. What this can look like: repeating sounds or phrases, echolalia, repetitive movements, preference for sameness, and difficulty with transition or routine, rigid or highly restricted and intense interests, extreme sensitivity or significantly lower sensitivity to various sensory stimuli. At its core, communication is a social process. So social communication issues are experienced by individuals ASD that also affect their communication partners. Family members, friends, teachers, coworkers face the challenge of learning to recognize and respond to subtle bids for communication and to interpret communication functions of challenging behavior. Individuals with ASD report a desire to have friendships and relationships despite their social communication challenges. However, peers often feel ineffective with social exchanges with an individual with ASD and may avoid that person or react to social overtures in a negative way by choosing or bullying. This lack of appropriate engagement and bullying can have a negative impact on the development of social skills. So these are a few social deficits. Latency to respond to peers. They may not respond to a question or a statement, or they may respond at a later date or time. Lack of interest in what others have interested. They will discuss their topics of high interest, and might not ask more questions about somebody else's interests. Lack of responding to social cues and body language. An autistic and neurodiverse individual has difficulties reading and responding to the body language of others. So, reading body language is very difficult, and knowing how to react to that, what you observed is also difficult. A neurotypical individual could say, I have to leave in 5 minutes, but an autistic or neurodiverse individual might keep talking past that time. Repetitive and restrictive behaviors. So severity is based on communication impairments and restrictive and repetitive patterns of behavior. Restricted and repetitive patterns of behavior, interests, or activities as manifested by at least two of the following, currently or by history. Stereotypes or repetitive motor movements, use of objects or speech. So this is lining up toys, flipping objects, echolalia. Insistent in sameness, inflexible adherence to routines or ritualized patterns. of verbal or nonverbal behavior. Example, extreme distress at small changes, difficulties with transitions, rigid thinking patterns, and some examples of those are need to take the same route to eat or eat the same food every day. Highly restricted fixated interests that are abnormal in intensity or focus, strong attachment to or preoccupation with unusual objects, excessively circumscribed or pervasive interests, hyper or reactivity to sensory input or unusual interest in sensory aspects of the environment. Examples are indifference to pain and temperature, adverse response to specific sounds or textures, excessive smelling or touching of objects, visual fascination with lights and movement. So executive function is also an area that a lot of people with autism struggle with. The characteristics are difficulty in initiating action, difficult planning ahead, inhibiting appropriate responses, absence of strategy monitoring, difficulty regulating their own behavior, and think less of themselves. Now, these are skills that typical adults and children have the capability to do. Some common strengths of autistic individuals that we have a strong memory, strong attention to details, strong areas of interest, strong moral code. So we are very interested in things being fair. We have logical thinkers and we are very honest. What support options exist? So we have a few different things listed here. So you could do occupational therapy for sensory, motor, food, etc. Speech therapy will help with communication. Behavior, you have ABA and behavior consultation. For educational resources, you have an IEP, a 504 plan, independent living skills, and mental health services. So here are examples of some accommodations during community interactions. So does the individual need reduced sensory stimuli? So a way to reduce the sensory stimuli would be for that individual to wear earphones and find a quieter location to decompress for a minute. Does the individual need more sensory stimuli, like a fidget toy or food? Does the individual need a caregiver to assist with communication? So, they need help to communicate their needs? Does the individual have a communication device? So, do you use a communication board or iPad with a program on it that helps them communicate? Does the individual need more processing? So this is a big one. A lot of us take longer to process things that we are told. So you could try waiting a couple seconds, just to give their brain enough time to process what you've said to them. And does the individual understand your body language? So if they don't understand or they're not reacting the way you think, maybe try explaining what your body language to them to help them understand. So this is an example of a communication board. So what the individual would do is just point at the squares to what they are trying to tell the person. So here are some special education information. There are 5 steps in the special education process: identification and referral, evaluation, determination of eligibility, development of an individualized education program or IEP, and determination of services and placement, and then a reevaluation conducted at least every 3 years. To be eligible for special education services, the child's disability must impact their education and require specialized instruction. And an important note is that a medical diagnosis and a educational diagnosis are not always the same. So this is the educational definition of autism. So autism means that a developmental disability significantly affecting verbal and nonverbal communication and social interaction, generally evident before age 3, that adversely affects a child's educational performance. Other characteristics also associated with autism are engagement in repetitive activities, stereotype movements, resistance to environmental change or change in daily routine, and unusual responses to sensory stimuli. Autism does not apply if the child's educational performance is adversely affected primarily because the child has an emotional disturbance. A child who manifests the characteristics of autism after age 3 could be identified as having autism if the criteria in this definition are satisfied. So I'm going to go into the difference between the IEP and the 504 plan. So the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act is a law that makes available a free, appropriate public education to eligible children with disabilities throughout the nation and ensures special education and related services to those children. IDEA governs how an individualized education plan is constructed and implemented. Currently, the Virginia Department of Education uses standards-based IEP, which is tied directly to the state's content standards. But the student's present level of performance and some of the animal IEP goals are aligned with and based on the state's grade level standards, which creates a program that is aimed at getting the student to a proficient level on the state standards. So Section 504 of the 1973 Rehabilitation Act provides special accommodations for qualifying students with medical or mental impairment that substantially limits a major life function. It provides equal access. The 504 plan is constructed by school staff to give the child special considerations or accommodations with the classroom climate. State arrangements, health services, modified assignments, testing accommodations, behavior management plans, transportation, and modification of physical education. So these are some helpful tips and reminders. Keep good records. Document in writing any conversations that you have with teachers, staff, or administrators. You can call an IEP meeting at any time. You can take a friend, family member, or educational advocate with you to IEP meetings. Please let the IEP team know in advance. The IEP team can discuss the involvement of the Family Assessment and Planning Team, FAPT, from your local CSA to discuss private aid placement or other supports. Request in advance any reports or documents that will be discussed during any upcoming IEP team meeting. So these are a number of different acronyms. So the 504 and the 8, it's the section of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. We have ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act. DD is developmental disability. ED is emotional disability. FAPE, free and appropriate public education. FBA is a functional behavioral assessment. IDEA, Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. IDEIA, Individuals with Disabilities Education Improvement Act of 2004. Or LRE, least restrictive environment. So that means that it's in the least restrictive environment for the student. OT, occupational therapy, pervasive developmental disorder, PDD, prior written notice, PWN, SEAC, Special Education Advisory Committee, SI, sensory integration, SLD, specific learning disability, SPL, speech and language, STED, special education, VDOE, Virginia Department of Education, VAAP, Virginia Alternative Assessment Program, VGLA, Virginia Grade Level Alternative Program. So when we're doing activities, we are using the SAVED method. So we do structure, make a consistent routine that the individual can follow. Use audio music, use noise canceling headphones or add in favorite music or sounds. Visuals, use visual schedules and checklists, social stories, and live role play. And environment, you want to know the environment that you're entering. So you could be prepared with fidgets or headphones or whatever combination you need to make the environment successful for you and your individual. Differentiation, make it appropriate for the individual. So help make the situation to where you're setting up the individual for success with whatever accommodations they need. And these are some therapeutic options. So we have speech therapy, we have occupational therapy, we have physical therapy, we have applied behavior analysis, also known as ABA, cognitive behavior intervention, parent-child interaction therapy, dialectical behavior therapy, positive behavioral support therapy, therapeutic recreation, equine therapy or hippotherapy, and many more. And it is best to talk to your child's primary care physician to find out what type of therapy they think would be best for your loved one. So there are some scholarships and grants. We do have this information on our website at www.tidewaterasa.org. And it varies on the time frame for the different grants or scholarships. So we're gonna talk about Medicaid waivers next. They are home and community-based services that allow individuals with developmental disabilities to remain in their homes and or community settings with direct services and programs that waive their placement in an institution or nursing home. So these waivers allow individuals to stay in the home instead of being put in an institution or nursing home. The only qualifying individual's financial information is evaluated. So not their parents' information, just the child's. Therefore, if you have a child who qualifies for a Medicaid waiver, then only their income and assets will be considered, not the parents or caregivers. And autism is not an automatic criteria for any of Virginia's Medicaid waiver programs. So the applicant will need to have significant needs and functional needs or activities of daily living skills, which is those things that you do every day to help you get through the day, and or medical assisting needs to qualify under Uniform Assessment Instrument, which is called the UAI. For the Commonwealth Coordinated Care CCC Plus waiver and or the VIDES, Virginia Individual Developmental Disability Eligibility Survey for the Developmental Disabilities Waiver Program. It's for two important Medicaid waiver programs the state of Virginia offers. So we have the Commonwealth Coordinated Care Plus waiver, which is also known as the CCC Plus waiver. It was formerly the Elderly or Disabled with Consumer Directed waiver and the Technology Assisted waiver. And then the next one is the Developmental Disabilities Waiver Program, which has the Building Independence waiver, Family and Individual Support, and Community Living waivers. So the CCC Plus Medicaid waiver services that are offered: adult day healthcare, assistive technology, environmental modifications, medication monitoring, personal emergency response system, private duty nursing services, personal care assistance, respite care, skilled and intermediate nursing facility or log stay hospital, transition services, moving into the community and out of a nursing facility. So these are the DD waivers. So you have the Building Independence waiver. These are for individuals that are over 18 that can live independently that just need a little bit of support. The people with this waiver usually own, lease, or control their own living arrangements, and supports are complemented by non-waiver funded rent subsidies, and they do not need support all the time. The Family and Individual Supports waiver. This waiver is available to both children and adults. People with this waiver may live with their family, friends, or in their own homes. Some people may need support with some medical and/or behavioral needs. And then you have the Community Living waiver. This waiver is available to both children and adults. People with this waiver usually require support in the home all the time. Some people may need to live in these homes with staff to receive support with medical and behavioral needs. So once you have been offered one of these waivers, you will talk to the support coordinator about the services available to you and decide whether you are going to accept the waiver. If you decide to accept the waiver, you will meet with your support coordinator and review each of the waiver services to determine what support services you need. Once you have decided which services are best for you, you and your support coordinator will develop a plan on how to connect you to those services. Your financial eligibility will be determined by the Department of Social Services. You will be scheduled for an assessment called the SIS. So how to apply? So you're going to contact your local community service board, and on the screen we have put the phone numbers for a number of local areas. And what documents will you need? Recent psychological evaluation. So it needs to be within the last 3 to 5 years. So if it's older than that, recommended to do another one. Diagnosis paperwork indicating that individuals has a developmental disability before the age of 22. An IOP or a 504 plan if your child or adult is still in school or recently graduated. So early periodic screening, diagnostic, and treatment benefit is geared to the early assessment of children's healthcare needs through periodic screening. The goal is to assure that health problems are diagnosed as early as possible. So some of the services include personal care assistance, specialized service including inpatient and residential treatment, behavior therapy, private duty nursing, assistive technology, audiology and hearing aid, medical formula and nutritional supplements, diapers and pillows. And for anybody that has a license, you can get it designated on your ID. You would just designate that at the DMV. And there is also Project Lifesaver. So that allows individuals to wear a radio frequency device on their ankle or wrist so that the device could be activated for purpose of tracking the individual if they wander or alone. And these are some of the local branches for Project Lifesaver. I'll give you a minute so you can write it down. So Virginia DMV has a handicap placards for individuals with autism spectrum disorder. So you gotta have a physician signature required, and it's a $5 fee. And another resource is the Big Red Safety Box. So that is a free resources to newly diagnosed families that you can look into. And this is our information. Our main office is located on Virginia Beach Boulevard. And the first phone number is the main office number. The second is my office number. And then my email, Miss Whitney's email is on there, our website. And please feel free to email us if you have any questions, and follow us on social media so you can see what we have coming up.
Thank you, Brittany. Thank you so much for all of that valuable information. Now, we do have a question in the chat. You mentioned the Medicaid waivers. I've had a lot of experience with it, and it's a lot of work. Do you all support families in filling those waivers out? Do you give support in the Autism Society office?
So we do not actually help people fill the things out, but we do have a webinar on our website that goes through more information about the waivers.
Awesome. And I also put a link in the chat for our participants with some information from your presentation and the other 2 presentations we had this month. And I'm going to pause just a second to see if we have any other questions about all the information you gave us, from the diagnoses to the characteristics to some of the supports that are available in the community. So let's see if we have any other questions. And if you find that you have questions later, feel free to send those to us, and I'll give you an email, and we can get those to Brittany and to the Autism Society, Tidewater, Virginia, and we can get you those answers. But again, thank you, Brittany. The Autism Society has so much to offer our community, and you have so many resources to share, and I hope our participants learned a little bit about what autism is and how to advocate for their family members. If you missed any of our webinars, you can access them by simply Googling VBCPS Family Connections on the web or on YouTube. Also, let me share. You can see here we have our QR code where you can access our Family Connections webinars, my three-part series, as well as many other valuable videos and webinars that we have posted.